Hello and welcome back to another Sims 3 speed build video. My name is Billy, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel. If you've been here before or you're subscribed, welcome back. This week I am making good on my promise from I think last video where I mentioned I wanted to do a kind of brownstone townhouse kind of build. Now, this lot is a studio apartment because I mentioned in that video that I was kind of inspired by a YouTuber who at one point had an apartment in New York, and I kind of wanted to go for a similar vibe. So it is also a very sewing oriented build, so there is a bit of custom content, but I have seen that people are enjoying the custom content heavy builds a lot more. But let me know in the comments if anyone wants to keep seeing some lower custom content builds. I'm always happy to do it. So this one's called the Sage Studio Townhouses. And please, if you want to have your own take using the shell, feel free to, and I would love to see what people can do with it. I might even myself go in and maybe do another build using the shell and make it a proper townhouse, not just a studio apartment, but we'll see. It's not my plan right this moment for my next video, but I might get around to it. It's obviously a studio, it's got one bathroom in it, and it's on a 30 by 20 lot. When you place this lot down, do make sure it's a regular residential lot and not an apartment type. I did playtest a little bit, and if it naturally kind of makes itself an apartment type when you initially place it down, and I had to change it back to regular residential because the apartment lot type automatically triggers roommates, like the university ones. Not a good time for a studio apartment. So yeah, make sure before you start playing with it, after you place it down, that it's a regular residential lot type. And this is cheap enough to be a starter home as well. And yeah, also if you do decide to kind of make adjustments to this lot, the two cheats you'll need to keep an eye on are buydebug on, although if you've got store fixes at all, make sure you remove those from your game, or you make sure to turn buydebug back off before you try and save. Although I actually had problems where I had to fully remove it from my game, because even if I turned the setting off before saving, and I turned it off before going back to edit town, I got stuck in an infinite loading glitch to get to edit town, which I wasn't expecting. So I had to multiple times go back in, figured out that was the problem, and just remove my store fixes temporarily. And the other one is so the buydebug, you'll need to change any lot markers for hidden rooms and public areas, especially if you want to, say, change which apartment you're using, or you want to build it out as a townhouse. You'll need to change which areas are public. And you also control click on the doors to make it an NPC door for the spawned in Sims to come out of for the other lots. But also you'll want to use a buildbuyrestrictinbuildings cheat and turn that off if you want to modify the appearance outside of the apartment itself in the more like public zones. Otherwise, you know, changing windows or anything like that, it'll stop you. I'm sure everyone's used apartments before, you're familiar with it. And there are some really good tutorials out there if you do want to make any changes. But yeah, that's pretty much like the initial disclaimers that I wanted to get out of the way, just in case people wanted to do something else with the shell. And again, I'd love to see it. Feel free to tag me on Tumblr or anything like that. Like, I'm really excited if anyone uses this build for something else. But yeah, so I'm really just going through it. The shell's all built. It didn't take me as long as I expected, although I ran into so much trouble with this build. I had game crashes left and right. I think initially I did like 45 minutes of recording just building a shell, and like getting some furniture down, and then my game crashed. So I just started from the beginning again, but it was fine because I wasn't entirely happy with how the shell was initially. There was a much deeper recess on those doors, like the front doors I mean, and it didn't have quite as much space, so I am happy with how it turned out after I rebuilt it. But yeah, there are a few expansion packs in this one, most notably it's an unusual one as World Adventures, which I don't normally use, but I really liked the kind of look of the railings for the stairs and things like that. And yeah, just furnishing the bedroom area. I do go through and update all the patterns at the end as usual, and I do also have a custom content flooring in here. But yeah, I got to use some different pieces from that one hang around closet set. Use the wooden hanger. I originally used the wall hanger again in it, but actually I'm not sure if anyone's seen me use the wall hanger in that before, but that's typically what I use. I use a metal wall hanger that comes in that set. But this time I thought the wooden rack really fit, but I do change the look of it by the end. I'm getting the little bathroom filled out using the same rug as usual. But yeah, I was really enjoying how this build was turning out. It was tricky fitting the bathroom in, but I think it gave a really nice division in that it's a studio apartment between the bedroom and the kitchens and dining space. And I managed to fit in quite a lot of stuff into this apartment. So I was really happy with it. And I got to use a lot of the sewing custom content from around The Sims 3. I loved how it came together with the patterns there and everything. And I did try and match some items together, but you'll see that as it comes. But yeah, this is the first time I've ever done my own like apartments from scratch at all. Like, it was really a huge learning opportunity for me, and I did myself have to watch a tutorial video first because I'd never attempted it before. I didn't know any of the cheats. I kind of knew about the lot markers, but I'd never used them before. I don't really go into buydebug that often, but I might do it again in the future. But the big like proper apartment buildings, like the late night ones, do scare me. So maybe for that reason I have to do one at some point, but it'll be a while off. I've got a few more ideas I want to get through before then, and most likely I'd probably do this as a proper townhouse build before I get to high-rise apartments. Yeah, I did cut out some footage here where I spent way too long going through curtains. I wanted to do blinds, and I've got some really interesting ones in my game for both curtains and blinds where they shut at night, because I wanted blinds on the window, but I didn't want them fully shut because it blocked out all the light, and I didn't like that. But they just did not fit the windows, and I was so sad. So maybe I need to investigate if I can make some of my own ones, because it would be so cool to be able to use them. And here I am using the wall siding from University Life that I only recently discovered, and I used it in my Artist Escape build, I believe. I'm going to use that siding so much now. Like, I don't know how I didn't notice it was there for so long, but once I finally found out, I was like, this is what I've been wanting this whole time. Like, for Suburban Oasis, that was exactly the wall siding that I wanted, to get like the tiling at a really good like height and then have paint at the top, but I didn't know it was there. I don't know how. And here I'm just starting to recolor everything, got some wall art down. In terms of decoration, this build is fairly boring. I think most of the attention is really on the kind of more sewing theming and some of the patterns around the place. And I did go for a green colour scheme, hence the name Sage Studio Apartments. Also, if you play around with this and actually make it into townhouses, proper townhouses, feel free to change the name. I wanted to specify that it was a studio in the name, while also kind of keeping it vague because it is a whole building technically. But yeah, the green's gonna stick around throughout it, but I didn't go too heavy. I kind of kept the walls very plain white in the living and bedroom space because, you know, this is an apartment. Technically, in the game I guess you own it, but let's pretend it's a rental and your bills are your rent. Yeah, because I kind of like the idea that they're kind of customizing it however they can, without like actually fully changing anything because maybe they can't because they don't own it. I don't know, but this is definitely like a very like starter home lot for a young sim just starting out their life. Very creative, very crafty. And yeah, I really liked the kind of painted white look for a lot of the furniture. I thought it made sense going with that dresser that a lot of everything else wouldn't match, because I was considering going for a really dark wood to kind of match with the, you know, because I wanted like the dark metal kind of chairs, but they wouldn't reasonably be comfortable to use and sit on, so that didn't quite make sense, so I went with dark wood. But then honestly the white paired better, and then it made the kind of darker railings on those tables and on the bed stand out a lot more. And they're recoloring the curtains. I did use kind of the same patterns on both the chair and the curtains. You can imagine in your head that perhaps, you know, this sim who's really crafty into sewing maybe used their own fabric, made their own curtains, and made a matching like cover for their cushion on their chair. You know, make up whatever you want. But it's certainly, I like going with the idea that they're like making their own clothes and altering their own furniture and creating, you know, things around their house, which, you know, saves money in a way and is also just what they love. And I did pay the attention to detail and make sure the thread was green to match some of the items around, especially that top. But yeah, so now just getting into recoloring the bathroom. I didn't do too much. I kind of liked the pattern on the shower curtain, and honestly it's reminiscent of one that I have in my own bathroom, which is not everyone's cup of tea, but I like it. It's fun, it's tropical. It's great. And now I'm getting into the exterior, finally decorating it, because all I did was the shell. I had so much trouble going with the brownstone look. I mean, I thought I knew what it was. Although admittedly, like, right, I'm a Kiwi, I'm not American, I'm not from New York, I've not particularly dreamed of living in New York, but I knew it had a bit more detailing on it and I just wasn't sure if I could get the colour correct. But I think I really got there in the end. It might not be the perfect brownstone, but I thought it looked really good. So there I'm just using one with some moulding, and that detailing really pulled it together on the different levels. This is also probably the tallest I've ever built a lot in a long time, I will admit. I don't think I've built anything like 4-story. Probably for many years, since like I used to build rectangular houses that fit as many Sims as possible in them because I had massive Sim families. Here's the tedious task of me just putting the corner detailing on, my favourite. I am very pedantic with it. Yeah. And yeah, all the doors and a lot of those windows are custom content. I do love them. They are from the same build set, I believe, so should be fairly easy. And I did explicitly, as usual, mention which items out of the set in the description that they are, so that if you only want those ones just to download this build, you're sweet, you can find them. Because perhaps not everyone likes to load up their game with so much custom content like I do. You know, I might have a slight problem. It's fine. I never decrease my custom content, only increase over time. but I'm absolutely not the worst off. I'm not the worst with custom content. I know there are ones worse. But yeah, and then darken up the windows. Now getting more onto detailing the fencing and the railings and everything. I really love how the Ambitions fencing came along. I just love the look of it. But I did also keep the more plain brick for the bottom. I just didn't necessarily want the railing down there. I thought it might have been too busy, and also I wanted it to be more enclosed in. Kept the fancy stuff for where the trees are gonna go. And just some more recoloring. And yeah, darkening up the roof. I almost forgot that because I also cut out a bit of footage where I had made it too short. And the problem is I used constrained floor elevation, obviously, because I made the lowest level slightly shorter than normal walls, which I'm so sorry, that makes that level useless, but it's a hidden level, so you don't have to pay for it. It's like the hidden room marker, just like the other apartments. And so when I wanted to extend the back of the lot to make the building bigger, that was a bit of a problem. So I cut out the amount of time where I was just playing around with that, and I almost forgot to cover that roof at the back, but I do believe, I'm pretty certain that I did notice it before I saved and exported the lot. So I'm quite sure we're gonna see this at one point. Also, this terrain paint is the worst. I hate it. I mean, I love the look of it and it was perfect and I wanted to use it, but why is it the one terrain paint that you select the square brush and it's circular? Like, what did EA do? How did they break it like that? I don't know if there's another one, but I know this pavement always annoyed the heck out of me trying to use it because it just turned it circular. And there we go, I fixed the roof. Good for me. Yeah, so now just doing some landscaping and really dressing up the outside of the lot. I might have gone a little bit overboard with the front where, I mean, you'll see it in the thumbnail. You'll see it in the screenshots at the end. The lot does look a little bit blocked. But hey, it's just privacy, it's just greenery, you know? Just because it's a townhouse meant to be packed in doesn't mean you can't have a lot of nature. Or something. I don't know. But yeah, there are a lot of trees blocking the front, but I liked it. It gave it a nice feel and I hope that helps it blend into a lot of different worlds. I mean, I did build this in my usual building world for no particular reason, just because I like putting my builds there. But obviously, as usual, I took photos somewhere else. But it does fit the best in like a city world. It'd probably fit in Ann Arbor or like any of those custom ones, Storybrooke County and the city areas, anything like that. But yeah, I'm just doing the finishing touches, putting in some more trees. And yeah, I did want to make sure I had a real like community vibe out there, that there were plenty of activities and stuff down the side since there was some empty spare space. And yeah, did get a little bit busy at the front, but I kind of liked it. And yeah, here I'm replacing it. It was always, no matter what, going to be off center, and I just tried my best to work with it. It doesn't actually bother me that much. I think it worked in the end, but I was worried about it being so off center. And here is going to be me dealing with the last little bit of buydebug for like the 10th time. But yeah, this is pretty much me wrapping it up here, because it's all just last finishing touches of buydebug. I spent so much time in that menu, I had to cut out so much, which is me scrolling. There's not too many screenshots for this one either, because it's just the studio. And yeah. And oh look, I use the help too, and there's the cheat that you will need to alter outside of the studio. But yeah, that's it for me. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this build video. Remember to like and subscribe. Stick around for more if you enjoyed it. I upload every fortnight. Thanks for watching. See you next time.